Well, good. So let's just get here for a moment. So everyone, just take a nice deep breath. Remember that breath, how important it is to create energy. So in through the nose, belly, chest, and then let it go. Become as present as you can be in this moment. No matter what's going on up here, feel your body, notice. So take another nice deep breath, let it go. So of course, you know that if you have questions or want a clarification, you can always do it through chat. And at the end, we're going to have time again for questions. So just for that little friendly reminder. And so I think we're ready to begin.
Yes.
Around power, money,
So
communication.
we decided we would hit the hard topics today. When I say hard topics, the balance of having control in a relationship is sometimes difficult to find and often difficult to maintain. And then the conversations around money can often be very charged and difficult at the same time. So we're going to be talking today about some more challenging kind of stuff than we usually talk about. It's one thing to be having conversations about all the cool stuff we can do in relationships and how nice it can be and to build a beautiful connection with your partner and those things, but we can't discount the difficulties. And what do you do when it gets really hard? And how do you stay balanced in who's in control, who's in charge, who gets to make all the decisions? So that's what we're up to today, and having a good conversation and some practices around that kind of thing.
And so part of this is going to move back into what we talked about last time was generative conversations. And so I believe all of you received that, and not that you have to bring it up now, but this is an aspect of what we will be incorporating in this style of communication is that generative conversation.
And self-management. The more difficult conversations get, the more charged the atmosphere is, the more important it is to really bring myself back to a good place to manage this. And self-management is not always about, I'm going to be polite and kind and real gentle all the time. Sometimes I need to center around my frustration and have my frustration show, but I'm not going to get mean. I'm not going to dump on my partner. So centering also means centering in what's real and authentic for us in the moment. So that it's not about faking something, it's not about pretending to be something we aren't. It's just about doing things in a good way, where we're taking the dignity and integrity of ourselves and our partner really into play here.
And remembering too, though, that this is not gender specific. Our culture kind of creates that in some ways because of how we grew up and generations of, the man goes out and does the getting in all of this and the woman stays. And so it's not gender specific here. It's not about who leads because they're the masculine or they lead because they're the feminine. It's about being really a blend of both of those.
It can be surprising that it doesn't matter where the inequality of power comes from. It could come from anybody. Either partner can start to manifest power in an unequal kind of way. So regardless of gender roles, regardless of genders inside of the relationships themselves, power gets like pushed back and forth, either taking power or giving away power in all the different ways. We're going to be talking more about that.
And a part of my philosophy, and I think Mark shares this with me, is that within us is masculine and feminine. Whether we're in a relationship with a same sex partner or not, or transgender, we all have masculine and feminine in us. And so how do we want to blend that so that we can blend with our partner? Okay, good. So we're going to start with the centering practice. So I'm going to ask if you can to stand up And we're going to review the centering practice and start to incorporate another practice of extending. So let's stand up. Good. So, centering, remembering, link, connecting with something bigger, that plumb line dropping down into the Mother Earth, letting our weight drop, letting our muscles relax down, soft knees, soft belly, soft butt, allowing the shoulders to drop like we're hanging off of a coat hanger, jaw relaxed, teeth and lips slightly parted, eyes falling back into their sockets. Take another nice deep breath. And feel your body sensation-wise, with connection to self and to others, your partner. Even if you're not facing each other, you can still be connected. A lot of times people talk about when they're in a car with their teenager, sitting and facing forward, they can have a much better conversation than face to face, because you can still be present and connected. So with seeing the bigger picture. And then the last, of course, is depth. Your history, everything that made you who you are to this very moment, and then into the future. So depth is right below your belly button. That's your center. This is where you come from, your ki, your chi. You don't come from here, you don't come from here. You come from your center. So depth is really, what do you care about? And does the words that come out of your mouth and your actions, do they blend? So length, width, depth. So again, take a deep breath, let it drop, and just notice, are your arms hanging to your side? Have your knees relocked? Unlock them. Is your belly tight? I mean, I probably relax my belly 15, 20 times a day. And I've been doing this work for 22 years. And so it's just something that I know happens, and I want to come back to center. I have much more choice here. So extension. This is part of being present in the world. The centering is part of it, but there's also extension. How you move your energy out into the world.
How you connect with others.
Yes, how you connect with another human being, or it may be a group of people that you're working with, or a family issue. So extension is, how do you take your energy out into the world? Or not. Yeah. And so it's a part about extending. And so I want you to take your whatever hand you feel most comfortable with and bring it out. Remember, soft belly. So just notice what's happening with your body as soon as you start to extend. So the extension isn't out like this, and it's not like this. There's a slight bend in your elbow. Your hand, yes, thank you. Your hand is extending out. See if you can feel energy in your palm moving forward. Are you aligned? Are you like this? Or are you bringing it from your center? Imagine that energy coming from the bottom of your feet, from the Mother Earth, up and out through your hand. Extension. Energy.
What I'm not doing to stay balanced in this is overextending.
Yeah.
We're now gotten out from over my hips. I'm trying to do something so bad that I've lost balance. We don't want to extend so far that we're out of balance. You extend to the extent that you can stay balanced. Oh, too much. I also don't extend from back here. I want to extend from a centered presence, and I extend. I don't extend.
Yes. There's some of us who, when we extend back from here, we wonder why we can't connect. I'm extending, but in reality, your whole self is saying, I'm not here.
Split message.
Yes. And so people read that. They read that. So when we're in relationship and we want to extend, how do we extend? So I want one person to be A and turn and face their partner who is still facing this direction towards the camera. You're facing them. Now, I want the person facing into the camera to extend. Again, remembering, soft elbow, energy coming from the earth up and out, extending towards something. Then I want the person that is facing that person to take under their arm, their wrist like this. And just feel that. Really, it's not about squeezing, it's not about pushing, it's just connecting, letting that palm feel that person's wrist.
She's extended here also.
Yes.
We're going to show you different ways that people extend.
And so here's one way, and I'm sure a lot of you have either worked with people or know people like this. So here's the lack of extension. So do that and feel that.
Nobody's home over here.
Yeah. Okay. And then you've worked with people that extend this way.
Through all of this, just notice how it is, especially on that side, to be in a relationship with somebody that extends like this.
Right. And also, what does it feel like to you if you're not someone that extends that way, maybe you extend in a different way? What does that feel like? That's where empathy comes in. Okay. And so now there are people that extend this way. And what am I doing? I am trying to fight back.
Notice how automatic it is to like fight with this.
Yes. Yeah.
This is a good place where arguments start.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make something happen. I'm forcing the issue.
Yeah. And so for those that are by yourself right now without another partner, though, just notice how it feels to, like push in. What does that feel like? What does it feel like to be all, oh, well, I don't care, what the heck. And so the last is the really extending. I am not pushing back. I'm not pushing down. I'm extending. I'm extending in. And if you feel your partner starting to push forward, let go.
Even if it's the smallest little push, it's not what you're doing over here. You're just being here. Some kind of pressure is coming in. And I'm just here, and I stay extended. I'm not using muscle, using the energy to stay extended.
And again, the person that's holding the wrist, remember that you are connecting. Your palm is connecting with this other person. This is the conversation.
Those of you who are individuals, imagine all this. Kind of see the picture in your head and speculate like, what would be my response here? Am I a person who pushes into? Am I a person that disappears? Just notice what it is for you.
Yeah. Good. Good.
Why we do this? We practice this so that we can do this.
Yes.
So we could be having a conversation and neither one of us are here. We're just kind of talking and there's just going on. But, it's like two different conversations happening at the same time. It's like there's nothing here.
Yeah.
Then there's I don't know why you did that. I can't believe, it's kind of like, why are you doing it this way? I can't believe
Yeah.
This part. And then there's like, hi.
Hi.
And I see her. I'm extending into this place. She's extending in this place. So we're together here. Centered, noticing where I am, feeling myself and my partner, and extending towards and connecting. If I can produce this and maintain this inside of difficult conversations, we're going to have the best outcome. And it doesn't mean always like looking in each other's eyes. It doesn't mean that necessarily. But I'm here. I see her. I can feel the connection that's going on here between us.
And truly, the only way you can do that is by extending, taking your energy. And so a big part of the centering practice, which is such a powerful practice, is that you begin to understand to be in here and out here at the same time.
So if you're by yourself, obviously you don't have to turn away from the camera, but consider somebody you really care about standing there in front of you. So there's care and concern that you can extend towards this person. It doesn't matter if they're really there or not. You can imagine them there and still extend that care, see them, get a feel for them like the last time you were with them. And just noticing and all of these kinds of things, what's easy about this? What do you do kind of naturally and easily? And what's hard? Like some people, they have this kind of connection. It's like, uh-oh. Historically,
Nice.
this like, this doesn't mean anything good. And so it might be very difficult to maintain this level of connection because the energy usually rises. There's more energy here. There's more life here. Could be really hard for some people. Some people want it so bad that they're trying to get it so bad that it produces a barrier. So you just want to kind of feel into like, where are you in this whole thing about I love? And to be able to connect and be with your partner, be with your friend, be with your teammate.
And all of this, when we react, comes from our history. How we were taught, how we grew up, what we saw. And so to be able to notice that history, that old story getting really loud, be able to quiet it down, then you have the possibility to really be able to connect.
All right. Always thank your partner.
Yes.
Thank yourself.
Yes. Thank you, Madeline. Thank you.
All right. I hope that was useful. So next place of centering. Centering is like we can spend 3 days on centering, just on centering by itself. So many different aspects to it. Mostly it's like get yourself in a good place. You can run stories on purpose. Shape determines mood in many, many cases. And where you put your breath, how you relax, can bring you much more present. Okay, back to control and power and money. Now, the way we put this out, control and power is kind of the same game. Money is one of the places that this control power paradigm can show up. So that's why we brought these three pieces together. Everybody's relationship to power is historical. In other words, all my experiences, all my paying attention to people when I was growing up, all the things that I saw, how the culture organizes around power produces my relationship with power. Both my relationship with like being power and my relationship to reacting to or being close to power. So we're going to work kind of both sides of this whole question. We want to look at a number of the kinds of things that we're going to be dealing with or that happens in power. If there's some level of trauma, which everybody has, in the background, in our history, safety becomes a bigger and bigger issue. And if trauma is more pronounced in our history, it's not unusual at all that one person starts to organize and towards power in an unbalanced way, my safety issues are going to come way up. And I'll be acting and reacting out of fear. Obviously, this is not going to be very useful. So first thing to understand is like, what is my orientation and reaction to when power shows up, when inequality of power shows up? The other side of this is, rather than looking at it just like, I got to be careful not to overpower other, there's a whole part of people allow people to take power over them. Now, this is also historically organized. In other words, we allow that not because it's like, oh, I think I'll let them have all the power. That's not generally what we do. It's more like it becomes an automatic. So an example of that is like one person says, hey, let's go to the mountains for vacation. And the other person goes, okay, whether they want to or not. They're just giving their power over, letting that person make the decisions. You notice I didn't say, let's go to the mountains in any kind of mean way, any kind of arrogant way, but I was making a decision for the relationship. And one response, and what we're calling allowing, is that I just acquiesce. Like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. Inability, difficulty in being able to speak into power, speaking into the energy of another person. So there's an allowing. There's also a lot of subtleties in this, which probably we've all experienced, and I'm sure nobody here ever does. One of them is called passive aggressive. So we want to pay attention, because passive aggressive can be an automatic. In other words, somebody can say, hey, let's paint the living room.
And I go, well, if you really think it needs it.
So we could think of probably 150 examples of passive aggressive in responses. Well, go ahead if you want to, you know. So there can often be subtleties. Now we were doing it in not quite a subtle way,
Right.
Making it pretty obvious. But often the passive aggressive and the allowing can be very, very subtle. It sounds like they're agreeing, but internally, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. So always want to be looking at that and paying attention to that in terms of what is it that I'm doing that maybe allows other people to have more power than me, or what am I doing that takes power away from the other person? Because what we're always looking for here is a balance. So we want to start to identify, what's my automatic? Where on the spectrum do I organize? Just automatically, unthinking. And we're going to be doing some practices about looking at this a little bit later.
Solutions, yeah. So of course, here we have the situation, and then what are some of the solutions? And a part of it is, first off, the generative conversations. We look over all of that, has powerful ways to resolve this kind of communication. And we're kind of working with time here. So, first off, respect and dignity is the practice. Respecting the other person, having dignity for yourself and for them. And so the tone and the mood in which you present your request, as we call it, or offer, means a lot. And so, for example, it's like we have assessments. We are assessment making machines. So if I said to Mark, I think we should stay at home today.
Well, I'm curious why you want to do that.
Yeah. And so
I'm asking for grounding. She has an interpretation of staying home would be a good thing to do today. Mm-hmm. And rather than going, I don't want to, I want to get out. Mm-hmm. And now we're it's like, maybe it would be useful if I understand her point of view. So I'm basically asking, in the jargon, for her to ground her assessment, her interpretation of better to stay home today. Yeah. Now we really have to be able to catch ourselves here. because the defending and explaining attribute of human beings is really big. Somebody says something, I mean, I see this everywhere, everywhere. I say something and it's like, it's just not much of anything. And I'm not talking about Madeline here, but I'll say something in person and immediately starts defending themselves. It's like, why are they defend? There's nothing to defend here. Or explaining my actions is like, it's really not necessary. So defending and explaining is one of the enemies of good responses. So yeah, so I'm curious why you'd rather stay home.
Yeah.
And she might just go, I'm tired or whatever.
And also remember that why questions can also put people on defensive. And again, the mood and tone in which you speak it, it's not like, well, why did you say that? You know, which I never do. But how you, it's like, why? I'm curious. Why would you like to be home today?
Just having her do those two pieces, considering she's who she is in this relationship, having her do those two pieces, my visceral response is completely different. You know, why do you want to do that? I'm kind of like heading this way. You know, in the conditioned tendencies, I'm a move away person.
Yeah.
So that like produces this. But the second part where she enters in with curiosity, it's kind of like, oh, it's like pulls me towards. I can feel the extension and connection when she comes from a good place, good mood, good tone. I can feel the curiosity. She's extending that curiosity over here.
Yeah. And so there's going to be times when we have courageous conversations, you know, and we have to be able to hold ourselves centered and grounded in those conversations. And so, you know, the blending, again, what we talked about, extension, connection, that's vitally important. You can't blend if you're not connected and extended. Because it's empathy. It's like being able to see the other, not take it on, but be able to see the other person's view.
Dance in their shoes for a while.
Yeah. And so again, what we want to be able to do is self-management. We have to manage ourselves. We cannot manage the other person. We have to be able to manage ourselves. And so, for example, you know, if I say, well, why did you do it that way? You know, why did you do it that way? And you get triggered.
Give me a second here. I got to get, it's like, that was a little triggering. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I offer a response. So no matter what comes at me, I have the opportunity to still manage myself. And the curiosity, the way she came out, I might just fall into like a love puddle and it's like not be able to respond. Or if it comes in the other way, it's like, okay, Mark, let's rebalance and recenter myself so I can connect. Regardless of how she is, self-management becomes important.
This is all about your history, and you're getting grabbed, so you're moving into your conditioned tendency or core contraction, and you're going to move from that place. And so being able to take that moment to recenter, which is the interrupter, you want to remember that. That's why the centering practice is so powerful, because it can help you come back, and then you can move more to your gifts than your limitations.
Ultimately, one of the things you want to do in a relationship and all the different domains of power, who manages money, who takes care of the cars, who repairs the house, who takes care of the outside, who takes care of the inside. Those are all can be shared power arrangements. Well, if you're doing the bills, you just let me know if we got the money to do this or not. And I'll give you the power to make the decision. We can always talk about it, but I give you a little bit more power in this domain. If I'm the vehicle guy, and it's not always like works that way, let's be clear. I might go, we need to do this with the vehicle. We need to do this with the house. I might go, I need some clothes washed. But the win, if I'm the clothes person, the win is up to me. She goes, I need some clothes washed. I might go, you know, I was going to do that tomorrow. Will that work for you? In other words, sharing the power. So not everybody's making all the decisions, and we grant power in different domains. Who's doing it the best? Who has the handle on this the best? Who is better here at thinking about these kinds of things? So that becomes a set of agreements. And it's not like they make all the decision, but maybe they have a little bit more influence in the decisions. Yeah. One of the parts that's really, really important here in the conversation of power is the willingness and the ability, the skill of being able to take a stand. And this is the practice we're going to work on today, is taking a stand. So in both the, in the place where I really need to control myself, either because I'm going to become too much, too aggressive, too big, or I'm going to disappear. There's a place that I need to show up. And so we want to do some practices around showing up. And so what we're looking at is taking a stand. This is the name that we've given it. So there's several parts to this in taking a stand. One is that I'm taking a stand for myself. And taking a stand for myself may mean if like my tendency is like to go away, then my stand is I'm not going to go away. There might be this internal thing going on where I have to center and recenter and recenter, literally that quickly, to keep myself present, to have some kind of response that's going to stop what's coming at me because it's not appropriate. It doesn't have dignity, right? There's no integrity in this. And there's a way it's like, hold. There's also a way that if I see my partner disappearing, I might want to be taking a stand for them to come present with me. Let's say that I have some frustration or I have a little bit of edge in my voice, not in a bad way, but just like I'm passionate about something. And I notice my partner is like, they're going away now, not literally, but energetically, they're disappearing. I might be a stand for my partner to stay present with me. So we're going to practice a couple of these things. So here's the setup. If you're an individual, you just want to do this with yourself. Again, you can imagine a partner, or you can just be in the conversation yourself. We're going to be orienting some of this. And for those of individuals, we're going to kind of take apart. Yeah. If your partner, you have a partner with you, face each other. If you can get in a place where you can face each other. So you're going?
Unrecord.
What about it?
I thought we were going to bring them all so we could
Oh, yeah,
watch them.
that's right. We're going to unpin ourselves so we can see a little bit of this.
Are you going to stop recording?
And just know that we're going to be editing. And we're going to put a little bit different part in this.
Yes, we will edit this so you're not, but we want to be able to support y'all and see.
We want to be able to see what you're doing. And also so you can see us. So we're going to face each other here.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
So first thing always is just acknowledge where you are. Acknowledge yourself. See where, just feel into yourself. What's your mood? It's like starting this, knowing it's like, we're going to ask you to take a stand in the face of something. It's like, just right away, it's like, how's this going to be for you? What are you speculating it's going to be like? So you kind of get a sense and a feel for that. Yeah, just acknowledging where you are. And for all of this, you always start with centering yourself. Tommy and Kendall, practice centering with your eyes open. I want to suggest that because generally it's in life, it's kind of like this is going on and I can't, we're not going to be able to go, hang on a second, let me center. It's like we're going to be in the midst of something, and we're going to want to learn to center. So if we can learn to center with our eyes open, being present, it'll be more powerful.
Tommy and Sarah.
Oh, Tommy and Sarah, thank you. Yes, okay, so facing each other. And first one we're going to do, we're going to practice not taking a stand. Then we're going to work both ways. So one person be a person. Those of you who are with someone else, be an A person and a B person. A person, raise your hand. Who's going to be an A person? You can't both be A persons.
Come on, Alex. Come on, Lennon.
You got two A personalities there. Okay, good. So that's the person who's going to start. That's going to be first person. Yes. So person B, you're just going to notice. Now, person A, you want some attitude here. Now, you may not be used to do this, or this may be way too easy for you. That's one of the things you want to see about yourself. But you want to get some attitude. So it's going to look like this. And my partner, I'm going to be a person. Partner, excuse me. My partner just wants to notice the reaction. And they're going to basically disappear in the face of, we're going to do this my way. So right there, some of you may have been triggered. Right. So person A, face each other, take a breath.
Center.
No, you don't mean this, really. But it's not, your body may not realize that. Both breathe. Person A, get ready. Face to partner. What you're going to say is, do it my way. With energy, loud, like, go ahead. Just notice.
Mm-hmm.
So the two of you that are individual there, say it out loud. Like be the A person. No, come on, with more intensity. Come on. And just notice what happens in your system when you do that. Now just consider if you were on the receiving end, what would that feel like? Yeah. Okay, now we're going to change roles. We're going to change roles now. So now person B is going to say it. So line up with your partner.
Get recenter, connect. Yeah. Okay. Do it my way.
Just noticing your reaction. Individual, same. Go ahead and just say that out loud. Notice reaction again. Okay. So when I did it with you, hon, what'd you feel? What happened?
I immediately withdrew and got small and wanted to go away.
And notice, we're telling you this, it's a mock-up. We're even the ones mocking it up.
Right.
She does this. I immediately got a rush of energy and I got hot. My breath went, I got hot and I literally held my breath for a second. And it's like, we're demonstrating, for crying out loud. But here's the thing about doing practice, somatic practices, the body doesn't know it's a mock-up. So what you might feel here and the experience you might have, consider it's probably what you do. Probably what you do. So strongly consider that in terms of what you're feeling. We know it's a mock-up here. This doesn't necessarily know that. Yeah, that's the beauty of working somatically, is because the body can't lie. We can fib, we can rationalize, we can tell ourselves all kinds of things up here. This doesn't know how to do that. So it experiences. That's all it does. It experiences things and it feels things.
It's that knowledge that the body and the self are indistinguishable.
Okay, now taking a stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we know what it is like to just be in the face of. So person A, you're going to start again. And
we're going to put that out.
Yeah, we're going to put that out.
Okay.
Person A is going to say the same thing again in the same way. This time, this is your response.
Person A is going to say it just like we said in the beginning, and then the person B will say, let's pause. I don't feel heard. I would like you to consider my point of view, and are you willing to compromise?
So you may not be able to like stay here with your partner
because it's
and
there.
read this at the same time. Do the best you can. Read, connect. And what is it to say these things? Can you really feel these things? Or are you in fear while you're saying this? So remember, person A, you want to say, do it my way, like you mean it. So individuals, go ahead and say it out loud. Give yourself a moment and then read the litany. And read the litany out loud. Okay, here we go. Person A, go. All right, take a breath. Notice what that was like for you. Breathe. Okay, shake that off. And come back and connect again. Now, person B, remember, say it like you mean it. And person A, read the litany. Everybody take a breath. So one of the things we want to suggest here is that
being submissive.
What we want to suggest is that once you complete here, have a conversation about what that was like for each other. What did you notice about yourself? In those roles, how was it to understand and feel those different kinds of responses? Disappearing or taking a stand. In terms of taking a stand, looking at this litany, just very quickly, if there's discord in the relationship in some way, something's going back and forth, one of the first things you want to do is somebody wants to go throw the flag. Remember, we talked about that last time. Generative conversation, self-management. If there's something going on and both people are kind of in their stuff, somebody wants to go, wait a minute. So interrupting a process that's not working, that doesn't have dignity, that is out of integrity. And the second thing that's happening is you're offering your partner an assessment, an interpretation of something that's going on, or an interpretation of their actions. It's not a truth, it's an interpretation. And then you might make a request. I don't feel heard is an assessment. It's an assessment about this moment and each other in it. I would like you to consider my point of view as a request to other. These are just examples. And I might make a second request. Are you willing to compromise? So assessments and requests become very important in terms of what am I going to do with the situation? Sometimes the pause is, I need to take a break. Let's get back together in 5 minutes and talk about this. Sometimes that's going to be the right thing to do because the energy is just starting to spiral out and it's like, we're not getting anywhere here. So hopefully what we were doing here is to offer you a way to see, number one, is there inequality inside the relationships that you're in about how power is being shared, how really important decisions are being made? And to start to understand, like, is there a dynamic here I need to pay attention to? What's my part in it? And then to look at different kind of responses. If one person wants to overpower the other, like inadvertently, not even on purpose, is the other person willing to speak up and not allow this to happen? Even if there's a background and the experiences are, this is not safe for me to have my voice right now. It's like, can I do it anyway? This is a big part of self-management. I'm taking a stand for my dignity, but not just that. I'm taking a stand for the dignity of the relationship if I'm doing this. In best case, there's some level of agreement in the partnership that we'll do this. And if we notice these things going on, you have permission to bring it up. I have permission to bring it up. Agreements are the best way to go.
I believe early on we talked about having some type of like statement that you offer that person, your partner or relationship, or even to yourself, to say, you know, like, I see you're in your stuff right now, or I feel like you're agitated, whatever it may be. And then they have made that agreement to say yes to that, and then that can start to shift the conversation. So again, the generative conversation handout that we sent has, again, this just reiterates everything we're talking about here when it comes to being able to self-manage yourself and create a conversation where you'll come to some understanding.
Barbara and Leslie, thank you for reminding us of the kind of relationship you have as a normal relationship in the world.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We have another one that's like being submissive. At some point, one wants to understand being submissive becomes a choice.
Yeah.
And it may be for the sake of the relationship, for the sake of something, that's what I choose. But understand it's a choice. At some point, it ends up being a choice. Alternatives may be extremely difficult or even dangerous. So being choiceful sometimes is allowing it may be the right move. So we're not here to say one should be doing something a certain kind of way or another kind of way. It's not about that. It's about being choiceful inside the relationship and form it and organize it the way you want it to be. And at best case, you do it together. Best case, you do it together. Any other questions and comments? You can write it on the chat. Happy to connect with any of that. Any last thinking on your side, hon?
Yeah, well, you know, a big part for me is in any relationship, whether it's with yourself or with another human being. And I say this from more of a spirit place, but to see the other as the beloved. You know, and to me, that's empathy and that's love. And they have their faults and things, and I have my faults and all of that. But to see them as the beloved, that's the compassion, that's the opening that can give you the opportunity to slow down when it's like, oh, I just want to, oh, it's like, no, this is my beloved here. And so I just offer that, and to just notice, how do you see that person sitting next to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great question about the extension of the hand. So let's be clear. Unless you're practicing with your partner, no, don't do that. You're just going to show up weird. And then you're going to say, I learned that from Mark and Madeline, will show up weird.
Which
may be the case. But in terms of practicing it with other, it's like, we haven't showed this before. There's a part you can do is like, you can connect with each other here, just as a way to practice connection. Either both ways at once or just one way. If I make the physical connection, sometimes it's easier to feel the energetic connection. But if you're out in the world at the store or getting something, you got a question for the, or at work and you got a question for the teller, that's probably not a good idea. Just to be clear. But you can still extend and connect.
And it is a good practice at home. You know, it's like I doing it not just with Mark, but I do both my hands, but I will stand and extend and feel, is my energy able to extend today? What's happening with me? it's a really good practice in noticing where I am in the moment. Especially if I like working with y'all, I get myself ready, I'm centering, I'm like, okay, extending. And so it's still a wonderful practice that you can do at home.
For the most part, we're extending into the screen here, into the camera,
into the electrical.
towards you all.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You can feel, even in a Zoom connection or some kind of connection like this, you can feel whether people are connected or not.
Yeah.
So it's not about time and space. It's about the energy that you move towards other. And the mood behind it becomes really important. Follow-up question, how about clients? If you want to teach them how to do this part with hand on chest, that's the official name of this practice, is a very formal name, hand on chest. That's a good way to learn and to practice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little awkward to do it into the screen, as you can see right there. In person, you can practice this kind of thing much, much easier. And the extension piece, sometimes it's more difficult, especially if you haven't been doing it for a long time, to really see if extension's really happening or not. Or even to feel if extension's happening or not. There's a lot of subtleties to it. So this may not be, unless you have a little bit more experience, it may be more difficult with clients unless you have a background in it.
But even so, if you get the people that are beginning to feel their body and possibly know that they're energy. We're all energy, right? Energy in constant motion. And so that in itself is a wonderful success. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're there on time. I want to thank you all for your participation, for showing up and being here.
Oh,
Very
there
much
he is.
Appreciated.
I see you, Earhart. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. And please turn to yourself, turn to your partner, and thank them for being willing to walk this path with you. And give them and if you're with your partner, give them, and yourself, give yourself a big hug, or give your partner a big hug and kiss. Okay? Yeah.
And remember, you get good at these things by practicing. It's the only way to get good. You have to put them into practice.
Oh.
Practice, practice, practice. That's how you get good.
And you can always connect with Mark and I offline. You have our emails, whatever. Please, if you have other questions or concerns, please. And we will be talking next time about
care
and play.
How you express care with each other in ways maybe we haven't thought of before, and the importance of play. So we figure round 4, it might be a good way to wrap this whole thing up.
Yeah.
With care for each other and how to be playful and silly. She doesn't know how to do any of that.
Oh, no, I'm very serious.
Very serious.
As all of you know me, but if you know me, I'm so serious.
Much love to you all.
Oh, much love.
Hope to see you next time.
Yes.